Oh, wow. I figured out a new way to sit on episode 28. 28 episodes in, and I'm just now figuring out how to get comfortable on this set.
Ready? Action. Hey, everybody.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Don't Tell Mom Podcast, the brother and sister duo where anything and everything goes, and we tell you about it.
Everything goes.
We don't keep anything from Mom. We don't tell her.
You can see it with your own eyeballs and hear us with your own ears.
That is right.
I'm Brittany.
Cullen, and like I already said, we're the duo.
Yes.
And
Happy New Year! It's New Year's Day.
It is 2019.
Right, it's a fresh start, Cullen.
Season 2. Don't tell Mom.
Hey, it's a fresh start to not
Season 2.
F up.
Not F up. But if we do F up and we're entitled to a lawyer or something, we've got the perfect guest
We have one.
on our first episode of season 2.
Our first episode.
This is amazing.
The most special guest that we could ever have. Who I call my sister, but not
Oh, you do? I forgot about that.
My sister, JT. Yay!
Welcome.
She is one of our best friends. Like, she has been part of our family pretty much. I called her my sister because we were together so much growing up that my dad claimed her on the income tax. I mean, it was one of those. And yeah, so JT is here. This is my best friend, y'all, and she's also our lawyer.
That
I'm
is
so
crazy.
excited to be here, guys.
Thanks for joining us. What does JT stand for?
Those are my
that-
initials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that like a
It's not a secret. You can tell them your name.
Okay.
Well, it was really great back in the day in the bars. You know, you didn't have to tell somebody your real name.
Yeah, exactly.
JT.
Yes. Everybody needs a
I
nickname.
like that.
Yeah. I call her J Tizzle, my nizzle.
JT. That's so funny. All these names that I've heard over the years
Yeah.
and that I've just like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Now I'm like
Annie
thinking about it.
Annie named her dog after me. Remember Tizzle?
Yeah,
Tizzle, back when she was in Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. See,
That's
she
crazy.
is infamous, folks. Okay.
So-
we actually have some Don't Tell Mom stories that we've told that you have been involved on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you caught that episode or not.
Yeah. I think it was it one where the cop showed up in our room, or was that a different?
No, that was
different
somebody
friend.
else. Yeah, this is where I used JT. Really, it wasn't even her fault. I used her, and
I already know.
yeah,
And you're still friends?
to go to the beach. I
Oh.
lied. She was the good friend my mom would let me hang out with, and so silly.
So what do I
man.
do? I call your mom and pretend to be my mom.
Yes.
Oh,
To let
my
her know you're coming
goodness.
to the beach with us.
The
There was no
lawyer.
beach.
Yeah, there was no beach. Well, I went to the beach. You were actually on a family vacation somewhere else.
That's right.
So we were in the clear. We thought this was going to be perfect
Oh,
because
wow.
if mom tried to call the house, she wasn't going to be there. I mean, nobody was going to answer. We had this whole thing worked out. I mean, we had our I's dotted and T's crossed, and then
Your JTs.
yeah, my JT's,
Right.
yeah, and it all went horribly.
Do you remember
wrong.
why? Do you remember why it went horrible though, Brittany?
Well,
Y'all were supposed to be back, I think, like a Sunday afternoon. Well, lo and behold, it gets to be 8, 9 o'clock on Sunday, and I think y'all just decided to stay longer.
Oh yeah.
So then your mom started getting a little nervous, and
mean,
the
it
truth
was-
came out.
I'm sure it was due to circumstances that were beyond my control, JT. I can't imagine. I was so young. I don't think I had a driver's license. I don't think I was old enough to drive.
No,
I was
you weren't.
in a van with like 3 boys. It was me, my sister, like 3 dudes, and we're in a white van, literally like a creepy van, and we took off and went to the beach, and I think we had to sleep in the van some night. Like one night we had to sleep in a tent. I
Lord,
almost
did-
went to jail. Annie had to somehow Annie convinced that guy not to take me in.
Oh my gosh.
It was a wild weekend.
How did what was I about to ask? There was a question. This whole phone call. Oh. So basically, it was your decision to stay longer is what got you busted.
That's what-
And then
I mean, I
in
don't think
turn,
about
you
the
drug your friend down with you.
I know,
That
I know.
called and
I
had
feel
it
so
all
bad.
set up. You had finished the alphabet, crossed the T's. Your alphabet's done, and
Yeah.
then Here comes
here comes the time the time to be home. Like that's the only thing I had to do to not F this up.
Yeah,
Was
you were
to
home
be
free.
Home. I was home free. Like the whole week I think had gone great or whatever.
And I bet you hadn't heard anything until you get a call from JT that's
then-
like, your mom's looking for you. Where are you?
Yeah, exactly. It was JT that had to let
Oh my
us
gosh.
give us the bad news. Like, okay, well, my mom's pissed. Then my dad, because my dad and JT's been to the house so many times. I think my dad even went to you and was like, JT, I'm disappointed in you.
Oh,
He did.
dang.
Well, my daddy he drove me over there and made me apologize to your mama.
I forgot about
I think I was 15 or 16.
They-
I remember
Long day.
that.
They don't make them like they used to. Like now you just, text when you show up or you don't even ring the doorbell anymore.
Yeah.
But like driving over to apologize, that's a good, see, we were raised right.
This
yeah.
was a long day, because this came after Mom has already had the boys that we showed back up. I mean, because at this point we already knew we were busted. Well, we had to come
Right.
down the driveway. I'm like, well, might as well just, you know what I mean? Drop me off at the bottom. So because we're busted at this point. I think it was something like they weren't supposed to be home when we arrived back, or we hadn't really thought that part through. Maybe I don't know what it was, but we were in big trouble.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, and the worst part is your dad told me that, I was then on his shit list.
Yeah.
I was
Oh, yeah.
old, right there above Brittany.
Oh, I know. You remember Dad's shit list?
Oh,
yes. Oh, yes. I had to work
shit
hard to
list.
get off of that thing.
It was so funny. It was so funny too because he'd actually reach in his pocket and pull out an imaginary notebook with the shit list on it, and he'd be like, "Look, there you are, right there at the top."
And he would write out each letter. He literally wrote it in there.
Golly. He was using an iPhone before they were even invented. Just, that's crazy.
Yeah, Dad didn't care as much, and Dad, JT didn't stay on his list very long because she really was one of the better friends, or one of the ones they trusted us with. Like she would keep us in line. So
She's got the lawyer in her, I guess.
Yeah.
That's where it all came from.
Right.
So, yeah, we go way back. Like, every party I can remember, like every gathering.
we were all there
Baby
together.
shower. Like, yeah, it was like anything that you were involved with that I was
Rocky's
invited
house,
to.
going to Rocky's
JT
parties
was
and
around.
stuff. Yeah, she had this.
was always there.
She had this car, y'all, that she. What do we call it? It's like an Italian. It's
The Pimp Mobile.
The Pimp Mobile. Yes, I remember. And then there was the Jeep. I don't know. We were always entrusted into your care to drive us around, to get us places. I think we rode to school with you in the mornings,
Yeah.
which we didn't go to school.
Which we
When
didn't go
we
to school.
made it.
When we made it.
Right. And we didn't just end up at Waffle House.
Yeah, Waffle House or Rocky's house or somewhere that we
Yeah.
weren't supposed to be. I mean, it's been a good ride. It's definitely been a good ride. We'd be at Rocky's and Cullen show up peeing on things.
Oh, gosh.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Those were the days. Those were the days.
Those are the good days.
I've been potty trained since.
Well, JT, you know that this is coming. I imagine when I asked you to come be on the podcast, you have prepared yourself for this. I want to know.
Like any good lawyer would.
Like any good lawyer. Yeah, she's been briefed. What is your best don't tell mom story?
Oh, goodness. The best one is probably breaking into Cullen's room and having little parties in the afternoon.
Oh, gosh. Yes. Little parties.
Was Cullen there?
No, Cullen was never there. He wasn't invited. No, it was just us. And we'd be like 4, 5, 6 deep, hanging out, watching TV.
Yeah.
And it was always my room because I'd ran into the accomplice in one of the previous Don't Tell Mom episodes where the cops did show up. I ran into him out in public and told him that we had just filmed a podcast about him, and he was like, "What? Don't say my name." And I was like, "No, we didn't say your name." So he was like, "But yeah, we would always go back to your room because 1, you had a ceiling fan, and 2, it was the furthest down the hall, so we would always have a little bit of extra time to dip if we needed to jump out the window or something." But it literally wasn't. It was like one door over, so I don't know what the thought there was. But
But for a while, Brittany didn't have a door.
Yeah, that's true. So we had to use your
Daddy took it on off.
we need to
We had to.
we need to link to the episodes where we've talked about all these stories. We've talked about the door coming off the hinges and stuff.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I know. We've been, it's always at our house. I imagine like that's funny to me though, that your story, like the story that you remember is like, oh, I don't want my mom to know about, was of course at our house.
Oh yeah.
We were involved in this some way or shape. Well, you grew up in a Catholic Italian home. Y'all are a bunch of loud crazies.
Very loud.
What
yes.
about like when you were young with your sister? Like, did y'all ever like pull one over on your parents? You know, like pull the wool over their eyes, like you and Stacy when y'all were real young. You know?
No, it was always me and her telling on me.
So she was the good one, huh?
She was. I was the one on my daddy's shit list, not her.
Oh, well, I'm sure you didn't stay on his very long either.
I'm still on it. I am still on it.
Catholic Italian. So you have a big family?
Big, very big, yes.
Yeah, big, loud family. I love it. I wish I was Catholic Italian.
I know.
It's so fun going to her house, and you've got how many kids now? Tell us about
I have
yourself.
3, yes.
Okay.
So I have Juliana, who's 9, Rossi is 5, and Tino is 20 months.
Oh my gosh.
A little Tino Bambino.
Yeah, Cullen knows that. He's about around that same age. He knows that they're wild ones.
Yes, nonstop, crazy psychopath like tendencies.
Like we're worried about ours.
Yeah. So 2019 is here, and that's baby talk. Yours is going to be here. Like, what are we just talking about? This, you're 40. Are you what?
40. I'm not 40 yet.
32 weeks. How many?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm 32 weeks now, so I've got 8 weeks to go.
Till 40. Yeah.
But I mean, it could come at any time, Cullen. I'm nervous.
Oh yeah.
This girl wrote on my YouTube or commented on Instagram or something and said, just if I have any advice for you, is just be prepared, because I wasn't prepared. I didn't have anything. And it was 34 weeks and I went into labor. And so she was early and she just like, thank God, she said she had the car seat the day before she just got it in. So she was able to at least take her baby home, because they won't let you take your baby home unless you have a car seat. So preparing for, we're trying to like be more prepared than caught off guard. But it could be, she says I went to the doctor the other day. She said full term is 39 weeks. So that's where we want you to be. And a lot of people tell me on their first kid that they are late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were
you?
They keep a little bit. I was about to say, tell us or tell her. No.
Yeah. So my first one,
because you had 3, so you know. Yeah.
Well, so with my first one, it got to be the due date, and she wasn't coming. I wasn't, in labor at all, and so they induced me, which I was so big and fat and hot. It was August.
So when did they induce you? Like, how far will they go? Like, how far do they make you go?
They went to my due date.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So she hadn't come at my due date. So on my due date, they induced me, broke my water. If your water's been broken for 12 hours, they will actually go in and do the C-section, because at that point it becomes a health hazard.
Dehydrated. Dehydrated. All the
Yeah,
water's out. There's nothing else on it.
Broke the water.
Right. There's no amniotic sac.
Yeah.
You have the same. You have the same baby doctor as me too.
Yes, Dr. Heidi Strong.
Yeah, so
That's
this is
cool.
what she'll do
She's
to me
wonderful.
too. This is actually really good information. I need to get this.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so then so you had the baby on your due date then.
Well, the next day. So they admitted me to the hospital on my due date, gave me Pitocin to induce me to start labor and contractions, and then broke my water, hoping that I would dilate. I didn't, and that's when they put me in for the C-section.
Oh, that's got to be miserable. Like having that mental, physical, like going through the process. Like we're lucky having the everything just kind of happen. It was an emergency C-section, so it was one of those that like we didn't have time to think about it, or
just like you have to do.
It was
this,
like so it was like okay,
get the baby.
But like I couldn't imagine having to go through like the delivery of getting the water broke, all that, and then going back.
Yeah,
to
I was in labor for like 12 or 14 hours.
So was it painful? Were you hurting? Did they give you the drugs?
It feels like gas, the contraction. So it hurts. It's very uncomfortable, but it's not super painful. Dr. Heidi though, she says, as soon as you hurt, tell me, we'll give you the drugs. So immediately I was like, epidural right here.
Does that part hurt? Because that's terrifying.
It's like a shot. Okay. So it goes, you feel the sting and the prick, but then once they start putting it in, you just kind of start going numb.
It don't matter.
From the waist down.
And that was the other scary part about the emergency C-section was Katie was in so much pain, or she was just I'd never heard noises like this ever. And then they rushed into the C-section room, or the epidural or whatever,
the room where that happens.
And they got one shot, because like it's either Katie be still and let them get it in right, or
you could be paralyzed for the rest of your life.
Or no, she's gonna have the baby,
without drugs.
Without the
That's even worse.
So, she pulled it together, and it didn't matter. It did not matter how hard. I mean, how painful that epidural was.
It just blows
she was
my mind.
so happy after that.
It blows my mind that people do this willingly without drugs.
I don't understand that at all. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, and then there's a lot of on YouTube. We went down that rabbit hole several times. The home births with the little baby pool, or
I can't. Some guy showed me on his Facebook. One of his friends had their baby naturally at home, and then actually pulled the baby out of themselves. Like, we're standing, squatting, pulling the baby out. And I was just like, what? I can't even shave down there. I can't, I can't even see. I can't see. I can't get it out of the way. I haven't seen my hoo-ha in 2 months. 2 months. And you're giving birth and labor and doing it yourself.
I mean, this isn't the 1500s. I just, if you have good medical care, it seems...
Let's use that up.
Yeah.
Let's use up that insurance. That's so funny. I don't know. I mean, bravo to those of you that want to do it that way. You're a stronger woman than I am. I got one of my best friends is a Mexican girl, and she goes, "No, Brittany, that's you woman. You have baby like that." I'm like, "No, what do you mean? four natural births. Like, that's just the way that it's done. It's been done forever."
You get in touch with yourself that way for sure. Because I mean, you have to there's all these calming methods and the meditation.
The videos make it look very easy.
Yeah.
And there's the baby.
Yeah, it's kind of hard now.
Yeah, so that's one thing to expect in 2019 is new babies.
New babies, and thank you for telling me about your experience, because I don't know if we've talked about it before, but I mean, once you have a C-section on the first one, then the second two you've had to be C-sections.
No, they actually don't have to be. They will allow you to elect.
Katie had a VBAC. It's called a VBAC.
Oh,
Katie,
see, Colin knows more than I do. So in tune with yourself.
It's one of those things that's if you want to do, like she said, elect to do it. But yeah, that's what we had to make that decision, because Katie.
And she said, "Yeah, I want to try to do it.
I want to try it," but yeah, you have that risk of rupturing the already existing sore, and then you also have the mental, I guess, if you've had baby, I wanted to have this baby this way, not a C-section.
Right.
Birth plan.
And see, I wanted to have a C-section.
Yeah, so some people are like, yeah.
So I did choose a C-section for my other two.
Okay.
And it was scheduled. I rolled in 7 o'clock.
Easy
They took me
peasy.
in the
So
OR.
good.
Yeah.
I think it took 7 minutes for them to cut me open, pull the baby out, and start to stitch me back up. It was just super fast.
I just hear the
It was great.
aftermath is terrible.
The first one's the worst. By the second one, you have scar tissue built up and all that. So your muscles you had surgery, so it's a little sore. It's hard to sit up. You have to get your muscles. For
and on top of the new addition, on top of everything else, you're having to deal with that,
Yeah, you
but
carry this baby around with yours.
I don't think Katie, I mean, she had to be obviously aware of it, but I mean, she didn't really miss too much with the C-section, because they've gotten so good at doing it. So good these days.
I'll tell you this. I am definitely excited to be a parent. This is my last year. 2018 was my last year as a non-parent. as without kids, as dinks, if you will. Double income, no kids. But no, we're really excited. It's just going to be, I just know it's going to be awesome, right? Like 2019, the whole year is going to be awesome. So
I can't wait.
I know. I want to hear about y'all's New Year's resolutions. That brings me to your. Well, actually, no. First, I want to actually find out I get a recap from both of y'all of your 2018. What was the highlights? Hit the high points for me. Like, was it a good one? Did you actually? What was your resolution from last year? Did you fail?
I don't. I never had.
I remember what you're.
What is? I was about to say, what is a resolution? Like, I want to hear in the comments on YouTube, or if y'all are like, do y'all set resolutions, or do you just like say I'm going to eat better, and then that lasts 2 weeks? But like, I don't know. Just like the whole this We're currently the number 2 podcast in the world. So hopefully by the end of 2019, we'll be the number 1 podcast.
Yeah, we're going to try to take the number 1 spot
worldwide. So y'all be sure to favorite this and get us up there. Appreciate your support. And but no, this whole setup and where we are, we moved. We that was a fun goal. I mean, we were wanting to
do the podcast,
and get a new house and get a space that we could, work with and
do these kind of things in, right? Because it's big enough
and that kind of stuff. But golly, I don't know what I'm looking forward to for 2019. Jeez. It's a tough question. I hadn't thought about it.
Well, JT, what's your recap for what's your highlights from 2018? Let's go ahead and look back before we move forward.
Well, 2018 was terrible for me. So I am ready. Just goodbye.
Okay, so you're one of those, you're out with the old and with the new.
Goodbye.
Yes. Yeah, it has been a rough year.
It's been a rough year for me too. I would say, even with all this good stuff, there's been some major.
We can go ahead and wrap this one up.
Let's get out. Let's get
let's
this out
put
of
this
here.
one in the attic, or let's just toss it out. Hell, I actually had a pretty good year considering. I mean, a lot had happened. So like a lot of big milestones for me happened. I got married. So this is my first year being married.
You've had a lot. Yeah.
We got pregnant. We got a dog that is like our child. That was huge. We traveled a little. We did whatever.
We started all these different business ventures.
Yeah, we started 2 businesses, which JT actually helped me put together.
Yeah.
She got me my business license. Yeah, I love it. And then we started the podcast. My new year, this year, 2019, because we just started YouTube, and this is my first year YouTubing, vlogging, podding, social media, all that stuff. And my goals are to make it to 25,000. Y'all heard it here, folks.
Subscribers?
25,000 subscribers on the Southern Fried Maple Leafs
subscribe.
YouTube
Go
channel.
Subscribe. Y'all go subscribe. I
want 25. I'm at 16,000 right now. I want to get to 25 by 2020. I think this is realistic, okay?
Yeah, totally.
And then I want 15,000 followers on Instagram, which I'm at like 8,500 or something like that right now. Get it. Do work. And then what else do I want? I'd really love to be famous, like super famous, but I don't want to be an actress. I want to be like the commercial girl, that's like, eat your Wheaties. Like, I think I'd be so good at that. Like, I don't want to actually do movies or anything, but
too much work.
Nike though, call me.
Somebody's going to snip that and make that a GIF. Whenever something crazy happens in your life in the future, somebody's going to, I'm just telling you how the internet works. Somebody's going to snip that. I really want to be famous. And then there's like something crazy that's happened in your life.
If I actually get famous, right?
Or if the opposite happens.
What's the opposite?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Like,
everyone hates you.
No. I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying. That's just what I do.
It was a good year. But anyway, my point is like my 2018 was good. Got a lot done. I mean, we survived. There was a lot of ups and downs, right? But now we can put it in the past. It's done with, and now we got this badass new year that I'm gonna have a baby in. I got to keep my baby alive. That's like number one for me. Which I was talking to Corey earlier and was like, this is my one of my resolutions, keep the baby alive, whatever. He's like, well, you were going to do that anyway. That can't be your resolution. I hope you're going to try to do that anyway, be a good mom and all that. But you know how you say, well, what was your resolution from last year? I don't remember what mine was, honestly. But this year, we decided to make sure that like we know exactly and we make it specific.
Right.
No more of this general stuff. No more, I'm going to lose weight. No, I'm going to lose 20 pounds.
Right.
Exactly.
I guess also with the recent stuff I've discovered in my head and Katie's and all that with the stuff we've been talking about, like I've kind of thrown the whole word New Year's resolution or term out of my, I don't know, like it's almost kind of like Katie started all this working out stuff and all this doing better and now I'm like, why wait till the new year to start?
Right. Yes.
So she's treating the last 90 days of the year like the first 90 days of the year.
Oh, that's a good
idea. So not only do you kickstart your resolution if you wanted to do that, but you create a habit in 90 days to where by the time New Year's comes, it's like, I don't need a resolution. I'm gone. I'm good. Yeah. Now, well, you can have a resolution. You can have those goals, but you don't have to like focus on the 20 pounds or whatever.
On what day it starts either.
Yeah,
that's how that's how you push it off and push it
Yeah.
off. It's like, no, we're going to start right now.
Yeah, so-
Today is the
See,
day.
and I like the word goal better than resolution
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
something more, something you can work for the whole year, not just.
That's
Exactly,
true.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
What are some of yours for 2019, JT?
Of course. Well, and I did what Katie did. I've started working out the last couple of months. Me and my boyfriend been going
Yo,
to the
go
gym
girls.
every day.
Yeah.
I got a trainer a couple of months ago.
It's true. I see it on Facebook. They ping themselves at the thing. I saw.
Check in.
Yeah, check in. I love it. It keeps you accountable.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it. I
That's
love
good.
that stuff. Yeah. Okay, so you already kick-started, but do you have any that you're just like determined?
Yeah, I want to spend more time with my kids.
I was
trying
just
to be a
about to
little more
say-
family oriented, not concentrate so much on business and
Okay.
I was thinking
like
with
that.
mom, like just family and not. I mean, we work from home and I spend a lot of time with the kids, but. Anyway, but it's not like that quality good, that's that stuff you can't get back. Like we asked for gift cards for Christmas from family and it's like just to go to dinner and stuff. But it's kind of like the dinner creates that quality time for you.
See, we did board games. So we've got
yeah,
board games that
yeah.
every
There you
kid
go.
of the family can play, and we sit down for an hour or so every night and play a game.
Hey, open up the lens on that crazy camera over there. We got Brittany up taking care of the video side of this podcast. If y'all are wondering where she went on the YouTube side. So with the new year coming up, that brings me to my next question. What are some... New Year's brings a lot of fireworks and alcohol, and people getting in trouble and needing lawyers.
Yeah, that's what we were going to ask.
And
JT
so I'm
about
just kind
your-
of curious, like if you had, like what's some of the craziest or that you've even heard of being in the profession or represented?
Yeah, there's-
well, what kind of lawyer are you? I
Yeah,
guess,
there's
in the
lots
first
of. I
place?
was going to say there's lots of kinds of lawyers. Tell us about your profession.
Yes, I do mostly probate, which is like estate planning and adoption, those kinds of things. I do a lot of family law also, divorces, child support, custody, that kind of stuff. And then I do a little bit of property civil litigation. I have taken several criminal mismisdemeanor cases. I don't like felonies, but
Yeah.
I'll take the misdemeanor cases.
Oh, the ones that just need a shot. They just need a little help.
Yeah.
just to get out of just a little trouble.
Just need a little erasing of one or two nights and move on.
I love it. What is some of the craziest, or do you have any crazy stories of like hoodlums like that?
Well, like mom, because I was about to say with the being involved with families, you got moms involved. I'm sure. Like,
Yeah.
don't tell mom. Here we are. Or,
Don't tell the
Are there any
kids.
crazy moms or crazy, like, I don't know, what's some crazy, I'm trying to think of a way to say it that you could talk about legally.
Well, I mean, yeah. What's some crazy? Have you had any crazy cases?
Well, with
you
the
know?
family law side, people, especially when they're first getting divorced, tend to act like children.
Yeah.
So I will take calls on the weekends of people. Well, I'm at Crystal's, and he's
my
not here
gosh.
at Crystal's. Well, I'm at McDonald's. I'm not driving to Crystal's.
Yeah.
You drive to McDonald's. Okay. Well, somebody needs to go to the other one so you can drop off your child.
Yeah, right.
It's
You
just
make the swap.
I mean, I'll spend an hour on the phone, arguing with people about where they need to drop their child off.
Wow.
Yeah.
If it's not very
gosh.
specific in a court order. So you have, those sides of it. But then you have people who work together. They don't need an order. They just communicate and all that. And those
So
are
you
good.
get those random, just like midday calls of like trying to mediate.
It's usually on the nights and weekends.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh
when-
man,
yeah.
that's even worse.
Yeah.
Because that's when visitation time is.
Right. Yeah, because you've got the child custody stuff and all that. Oh man,
That's
I can
crazy.
I can only imagine. I said our other sister, but Rachel, our oldest, is she's actually a 911 operator. She has some crazy stories. Like a lot of them are like crying wolf. And a lot of them, but like some of them are real. Like, what's that movie with Halle Berry? The Call.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen that. And I didn't even know Rachel was a 911 call operator.
I didn't know that either.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
When
her
did this
new thing.
happen?
That was a few months ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's got some stories. She said, Brittany, it's so hard
Oh, I'd imagine.
because you can. I mean, like you've got. Oh man, I just only imagine the kind of stuff. And then you got the regulars. She says you got like the people that call in regularly.
Put the hose down. down, Bart.
Listen here, Terry. I told you already. Don't call me. This is for emergencies only.
Golly.
But yeah. So that's crazy. Lawyers and the 911. I mean, things like that, like jobs like that you just hear some of the craziest stuff. I guess it'd be, I don't know, just be interesting.
Insane. I'm wondering what if I can remember any New Year's crazy stories that we've had in the past. Have we ever hung out on New Year's?
I don't know.
I don't think we have.
I don't know. I try.
Have y'all had?
Stay away from me. We've me and JT have partied together several times.
Oh, yeah.
On New Year's?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. We brought in
Every
a few.
night.
Yeah.
Really?
Every night.
Every night
New Year's
is a
was
New
mixed
Year's.
up in there somewhere. I'm sure. Yeah, we would party. That is for sure. It's so funny now. I think I had posted this one day on Facebook or something, but I said, "Isn't it crazy that the person that you had your Don't Tell Mom stories with when you were a kid is now your legal counsel?" You know what I mean? It's just so funny to me, but it worked out like it was supposed to. I think that was probably right.
Right? She was like being the responsible one.
Yeah,
Confidentiality.
I kind of want to know, like now, like I want to know some of the stuff that we did when we were kids. Like, what was the legal ramifications? Now that you know what they are, because back then it was just kind of like toss it to the wind. We'll just do whatever we want, but. I'm sure
remember that one time we skipped school and there was like 8 of us, so we couldn't all fit in the car, so we put like 1 or 2 people in the trunk.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Yes, and
then we kept knocking to make sure they were okay.
In the Pitmobile, yeah.
In the Pitmobile.
Yeah, we had to like stop and get Black and Milds for our buddy's house. And we were
Oh,
going
my
to the
gosh.
house. He was like way out.
The Black and Mild days.
Yeah,
Oh
the Black
man.
and Milds. We'd have to get cigarette. Like I don't know. I smoked, and I was always trying to figure out ways to get cigarettes when I was underage. You know what I mean? So we did some. I mean, I just wonder like what the legal ramifications were if we were to have gotten caught back then. Because back then let's admit it, JT. We thought we were 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
did.
I mean, we could have been.
Did some stupid things. If we were to do them nowadays.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
It kind of seems like this generation, though, that's behind us isn't that ballsy.
Yeah.
They're kind of weak. Like not weak, but like, you know what I mean? Like not as bad. Like bad's not cool.
They're not as well. They're not.
You know what I mean?
They're. It's either all or nothing. It seems. It's like you hear like the most horrific stories, or it's like, yeah, I've done that. Okay,
Been
next.
there, done that. Yeah. And they think like shocked by your
Yeah.
behavior.
But
yeah.
then there is some stuff I'm just like, whoa, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Like there's oh god, what was it? Like one of those high school senior pranks?
Oh yeah. The senior pranks have gotten real creative.
Yeah, there was one I was like, dang, that's genius.
Dang, these kids today. I just feel like for the most part, it's very. It's not cool to be bad or to like, you know, smoke cigarettes is so uncool, and to do stuff without your parents knowing about it's so uncool because all
must vape, bro.
Vape, bro. No, my parents would kill me. You know, it's like I feel like our generation, their kids, like the older, you know, the teenagers and stuff now, like their parents were more their friend than their parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like our
that's true.
generation, it's like there was a line. Like,
Right, like you were going
yes,
over to her
ma'am.
house to apologize.
no, man.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's like buddy with, I don't know. That's just my take on it. But
Like I honestly don't even know. Yeah, I don't think anybody. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a few years. I'm just trying to think if I would take my kid or make my kid go over and apologize. You know, at that age. Right now, I would be like, you need to go tell them you're sorry if we're in public. But to drive them
as a
over to your
teenager.
house, as a teenager, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, just tweet them and tell them you're sorry.
just tweet them. Yeah, make it public. It's funny.
It is kind of ballsy though, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do that either.
I know, like, ooh.
Yeah.
That puts you in that uncomfortable, like, okay, I don't want to have to do that again situation.
Yeah, but you also want to, like, I would totally do that. I'd totally drag my kid over
that's
to
what I
somebody's
mean. It
house and be
puts-
like,
it
you
puts-
better apologize because I don't want them thinking that I let you get away with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Heathen.
Yeah, it ain't my fault. I was not involved in
Yeah.
the least.
So everybody knows I'm clearing my name. That's for sure.
And it gives the child, you know, like, I don't want to have to go apologize. That was embarrassing.
Right. JT, how old are your kids? kids are how old now?
9, 5, and 20.
20
Oh,
months.
yeah,
months.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You told us. So what's the craziest thing they've done that you've busted them?
Oh, Juliana, my oldest.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9.
She's smart as a whip, y'all. Let me tell you, I already know she's gonna give you some shit.
She already is.
She's
So
9.
she was in kindergarten, which was a rough year for her. It was transitioning from preschool to, big kid school. And she
Yeah.
had ADD. Of course, they don't diagnose it until 6. And she was still 5. So we had to kind of work through kindergarten. But her teacher started telling me, have you not been getting the notes I've been sending home? I said, no, there have been no notes in her book bag. And I asked Juliana, no, Mom, I never got a note. The teacher never gave it to me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So I said, okay, and so I thought the teacher was lying at a certain point because she had asked me a couple of times and there were no notes coming home at all.
She's so good.
She's so sneaky.
Yeah.
So the teacher sends me an email a month and a half later and says, I was cleaning out the library, which was just a couple of bookshelves and some beanbag chairs for the kids to sit and read. And Juliana had been shoving the notes behind the bookshelf. And so nobody knew where they were. Nobody could find them.
And this was in kindergarten.
5 years old.
Wow.
5.
Wow, that's pretty smart.
And the teacher even told me, she said, I was questioning myself. Did I write the note? Because she was so believable.
So could she understand,
Yeah.
did she know if they were bad notes
Oh,
or
they
good
were always
notes?
bad notes.
Oh, she knew
you
if it was
didn't
a
get a
note.
note sent home
okay,
that was
okay.
bad.
Yeah, it was bad. So
Right.
what did the notes? So then you finally get all these notes collected from behind the couch, and you sit down. You got a book now to read. And what do they say? What are these notes? What is it?
Well, a lot of it, and she used to get notes sent home for arguing with the teachers. So her teacher immediately
gosh.
told me, she said, I think she's going to be a lawyer.
That's
And I was
hilarious.
already an attorney at that point. And so she said, I think she's going to be a lawyer.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm
probably
sorry.
so.
I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Where in the world she picked that up? Oh, and then they're looking at you like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
That's a fear enough. Is like to
Wow.
keep your kids in line and like have them where they're not being bad. That's just the ridicule of like, or the eyes of all the other parents and the teachers and stuff, like looking at you like, your kid's messed up. Your kid is bad.
Well, what's funny is I had a mom stop me, one of Juliana's friends in her class, and her mom stopped me. She said, my daughter told me what Juliana did. And she said, my daughter got a note sent home, and her older brother said, well, why didn't you just hide it or not show Mom? And she said, oh, no, Juliana did that one time. I learned my lesson on that. So the mom had to come and tell me. So.
Okay.
She's the example.
That's
Right.
good.
But then the middle school boy said, oh, my God, I have to meet this kid. Who is this girl?
Yeah,
she's so
she's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah.
That's so funny because that's something
Golly.
like, that's definitely something I would have done to our mom. Is just,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I want to say I think I've probably done that.
I think I did that once or twice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's the mentality, like, oh, well, I'm not getting in trouble today.
or like just like progress reports.
Yeah.
I hated progress reports because they
and
weren't
she
the
knew what day they were on.
they weren't
Our
the
mom was
report
a
card,
teacher.
but they were the progress reports. And so I always left myself like enough, like I still got room or time to get a B or you know
to like get my grades.
I got
up.
time to get this up. I'm not worried about it. But I just don't want Mom to see how bad it is right now.
Yeah, right. She can never know how bad it got.
Yeah, and so I would try to hide the progress report.
That's
And
so
that was
funny.
always a fight.
I love it though that you got other parents coming up to you like, oh yeah, my child told me what your child did.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like
she is well known in her school the worst thing I ever did was we used to get stacks of papers graded that were stapled that you had to get signed, or if it was a low grade, you'd have to get it
I
signed.
remember that. Yeah.
So I used to unstaple, pull out the bad ones, and restaple for the
Yeah.
signature, and then put them back in. So
Yeah.
now when Juliana hands me a packet, I'm looking for holes, and prior staple marks. I'm like, oh no, I know this trick.
I know this one.
Like to see if
that's so
she's
funny.
manipulated the staples.
Yeah.
They're removing the staples.
That's
Golly.
You gotta learn. You gotta learn.
Yeah, it makes you nervous. It's got to make you nervous though to like see these traits formed already in your child that's so young. It's supposed to be so young and innocent, and then to think, then you got teenage years coming
Yeah,
up, and it's
yeah.
like, oh God, what are they going to know by then? You know?
It's so crazy because there's sometimes where I joke around with Gaines and I'm like sarcastic with her. I tell her one thing, but I mean another. And then like she flips that on me and does something, but I see it. I'm like, I'm teaching her how to lie. I'm teaching her. Why did I do that?
Yeah,
like just by my simple dad joke. Now she's using it against me to lie about like you know.
But you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like,
you don't understand.
Shit. Why did I do that?
It's so funny. My mom actually, there's been like your parents were probably one of them, but there's been several parents of friends from high school that I know of. And before that, I'm sure there was plenty, but mom would actually spend like the afternoon calling the parents of the people my mom knew I hung out with and telling those parents that they needed to not let their kid hang out with
I remember that.
I remember that.
It's like, how is this fair? I'm going to have no friends. Like,
you need to be aware that my daughter is crazy.
Yeah, she's bad for your kid. Just steer clear. Don't let your kid hang out with her. And then it's like I'd go to school and my friends would like they wouldn't want to eat lunch with me. And it's like, well, what happened? You know?
Mom, that was kind of mean, actually, when I think about it. But no, I remember she would, after that, I think that traumatic misinterpretation of the beach trip, she would every time call the parent herself, or like, I need to talk to the parent, or like, even though she wasn't sure, but she would always
Emily
double check.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we had some friends, Emily and Roy, that were from Amsterdam. They were Dutch.
I remember them.
Yeah.
So they had the accent, and mom just wasn't prepared to deal with the accent because she would know, like, she'd be really aware of like if this is an adult's voice on the phone,
Right.
that I'm verifying my child staying at their house, and it was always Roy. It was never her mom. I mean, it was because they had the accent, and she sounded older because of the accent and whatever. And mom was just never knew, and so I was always at their house after that.
I remember that once she got away with that one time, it was just like gang
I was
on.
living over there.
Yes, I remember that.
You know where we would actually be? You'd probably be with me. We'd be at that Arby's.
Oh yeah, where all our friends worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worked at the Arby's, or and then down the street was the bowling alley, or the so we'd be the bowling alley, and then we'd have all the fun, and we'd drink beers and smoke cigarettes and do all these things that we weren't supposed to do, and then everybody else had to go home, and then you're stuck, and you're like, well, I don't have a home, because I lied about where I was actually going. So we would end up sleeping. There's been a couple nights we have slept in the Waffle House booth.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
We just had to rest our eyes for a little while.
Just take a little nap.
Because we'd party as late as we could until there was no one left to party with, because everybody else had parents that cared.
Or just knew where they were.
That they hadn't lied to, right?
It's so funny. Like you got to where, you were like so desperate to spend the night out that you spent the night out. Like you would lie about spending the night out and then not actually have somewhere to spend the night.
Exactly.
Like, that's so crazy.
Because it didn't matter where I ended up. It mattered that I had FOMO so bad. It mattered that
I did.
Yes, that I was there for the big, the chunk of it. That was the fun part with everybody hanging out. And really, we were just doing, we were just hanging out, being stupid, skateboarder punks, little kid, I stole my mom's Arbor Mist. Y'all want a sip? That kind of stuff. And
I remember y'all went through that. I don't know if JT
Cullen was the good one.
I don't know if JT did. Y'all go through like the goth phase or whatever?
Yeah. We did.
The punk phase or whatever.
There was one phase, I don't know, it was somewhere, it was like emo before emo even was a thing.
Right.
Like they didn't even come up with the idea.
I didn't know what emo was when I first heard it. I was like, oh, we
I
used
didn't
to do
either.
that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, I see what that is. But
Yeah.
I had like these blue parachute pants, and I just wanted, like, anything my mom hated, I wanted to wear it. You know what I mean? I think that was the thing. But I had these huge, like, parachute pants, these blue parachute pants, and I would wear those with like the little spiky necklaces and the black, like, I had this one black shirt I loved, and it was like a little rabbit flicking you off, and I'm like this 14, 15-year-old punk kid. You know what I mean? Like, if I'd have seen myself now,
the black choker
today,
necklace.
I'd have punched myself in the face and be like, get your shit together. What are you wearing?
Like,
what the hell are you doing?
Like,
what are you wearing? What are these pants?
My mom let me go through that. Like, I'm just sitting here. I was looking at some pictures, and I'm like, golly, how did I'm trying to picture my daughter going through this, like
going through this phase,
like how to prepare for it.
Like Doc Martens and big pants.
Golly. And then
you just gotta let them express themselves.
9 inch nails and whatever.
Yeah.
All that.
Oh yeah, I did all that. Yeah. Our generation we had some more like hardcore rock and roll.
Nirvana.
Yeah, we had some
good music.
Cool music.
There was some dope. That's all we ever listened to pregame over here when we're getting podcasts set up.
Getting all of our 90s music.
There was actually a 90s podcast I saw, like something everything 90s or something.
Oh my gosh, Cullen, we should check that out. But we should also get that game that I got you. I got you a 90s trivia game, and the reason I got you that was so we could play it one day on the podcast. So we're gonna have to do that maybe the next podcast if you can find it.
I was thinking the "What's in your mouth" game or "Watch your mouth."
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. what is in my mouth?
We did the "What's in your sock."
My husband and I did before when we were dating. We did "What's in my mouth" game, and it was where we blindfolded each other and put things in each other's mouth, and then we had to get y'all all thinking you dirty perverts. You're all thinking something bad, but it was actually really fun. Like we went and got different things from the grocery store. Like we could each get whatever one. And I was just so bad to him. I did the sardines.
What's the worst thing you put in his mouth?
I think like sardines or like I don't know, just nasty stuff. He put like cotton in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like he was still trying to get some. Like he wasn't trying to end our relationship. I was like needles. You know,
peroxide.
I'm gonna win this game.
You just want to win.
I just want to win. I'm a very competitive spirit.
No, it's not a noodle. Keep chewing.
I love it.
So, do your kids watch YouTube, JT?
Juliana watches. Juliana started her own channel.
Oh my
after
gosh!
I told her no.
Don't tell mom.
Then we go to someone's house, and she says, "Hey, I have my own YouTube channel. You should go subscribe." What did you just say? Nothing, Mom. I'm telling people, and then the parents will come to me after. So
yeah, because you have to be, I think, 13, like technically.
Right. Well, she's not.
Yeah. I always say, I agree. I'm over the age.
She's got good legal defense. Right. She'll be all right. I'm sure.
There's several 9-year-olds that have YouTube channels.
Is there?
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, it's
that's something I would watch.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Don't want to hear about Minecraft, but
Well, that's cool.
That is so cool. I didn't know that. Shit, we gotta go be on her channel, Cullen. We gotta go.
I need to look it up. Yeah, it's interesting.
I love it. All right, so listen, I know we've been going on for a little while now. I want to thank JT so much for coming on the podcast and shooting the shit with us and just hanging out. We love you and
love you so much.
2019 is off to a good start. Yeah, just reminiscing about like old.
Yeah,
stories.
Right. I love it. We gotta do more of that, but focus on all the good fun stuff, And then I want to tell you that she is. I didn't say this earlier, but JT is actually no stranger to like radio, TV. I've seen you on TV. You've been on the radio. You shoot on the radio last week. So she is no stranger to all this media business. And
hey, if you need a commercial edited, that's funny because when I first lost my job and was trying to make the jump to YouTube and wasn't sure, I actually was reaching out to lawyers to make like little commercials, like trying to
do video editing.
Just to do some, yeah. And so when you said commercials and radio, I was like, oh yeah, that's
Well, she has her own practice, Tombrello Law Firm, and in Hoover. So if you're local and you need a good attorney, go holler at her. But
if your mom starts getting crazy, just say, "Hang on, let me get my lawyer."
Let me get my lawyer out. But yeah, so like my main goal for you, and if you don't have any resolutions for yourself, then I'm going to give you one. Run for president for 2020. Wouldn't that be awesome? Your best friend's the president.
God, that'd be hilarious.
I'm going to take you to the top. So that was my resolution for you.
I like it.
Cullen, my resolution for you is to do better at podcasting.
Speaking of, y'all subscribe. Y'all be sure to subscribe.
There you go. He's already doing it. Look, day 1, 2019, Cullen's on his game.
No, but I really do have optimistic hopes for this channel. We, kind of been experimenting and having fun with everything the past 28 episodes, but season 2's here, and we need to ramp it up. Get the guests have already started. Get some more guests on every so often. Do live. That kind of thing.
We want to do live. We want to do more on location. We want to do all that. We want to be voted. I keep hearing on the radio, iHeartRadio Podcast Awards. I want to be on the awards next year. Thank you. Like, go and accept my prize.
And then that clip of, I just want to be famous will play right now.
No.
See, so your honesty is not ever gonna. Yeah.
Well, this is season 2, so we've decided to do every year we're gonna do a different season. So first season, it's a wrap. We're done with the first season. That was like our learning curve. I think we're kind of getting more used to the podcast thing. I think we're doing an okay
Might change
job.
the layout back here a little bit. Might get some new atmosphere.
Hey, we don't have to do it today on New Year's. We can do it whenever we want.
Evolving.
That's not an excuse. We don't have to wait for a New Year's to make shit happen. So that's my resolution for you, Cullen, is to really become the number one podcast, because then I'll be the number one podcast. Right? Of course.
By relation.
And then
if we ever like split, well, I'll get JT to take care of the family law portion of it.
She'll work it out for us. She'll divide our assets.
Yes.
You get this desk, I'll get that one.
There you go.
But yeah, thank y'all all so much for listening to us and for supporting us in this first round, this first season of Don't Tell Mom podcast. And we're really excited about season 2, 2019, Don't Tell Mom podcast. Every week, Cullen, we hadn't missed a week.
I can't believe that, honestly. Like, we just jumped right into it, and you're gonna have that baby. We're gonna have Sophia on the podcast next couple months.
Yeah, she'll have to be. I'm gonna be over here breastfeeding with my child, laughing about the good old days.
Oh my gosh! All right, thank y'all for listening, tuning in. Be sure to favorite and leave us voice messages and subscribe. And thanks, JT.
Thank you, JT.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much for coming. We'll see y'all next time.
Don't tell mom.
Mom.
See y'all.
Peace out.
Bye.
2 times Tuesdays.